Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Wednesday, the 8th of December 2021. And we're publishing our gold and silver daily update, news and economic data. Gold and silver are both up a little this morning, and the day really appears to be rather boring, with very little data coming out of the United States, and perhaps markets being more dependent on geopolitical news rather than any economic news that may transpire. So let's take a look. Welcome to Illuminati Silver. It's Wednesday, the 8th of December 2021 at 10:03 in the morning. Yesterday, the weather was tempestuous. Today, it's in tumult. Yes, it's a little confused and undecided. We have some strong winds and occasionally some rain. Then it dries up. Then a little rain, then it dries up. The winds abate now and again. We're in tumult. And that is where we think President Joe Biden is with President Putin. And as we can see in the headlines, Biden is left guessing over Putin's ultimate aim in the Ukraine. He's confused, in tumult. The video call between Presidents Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin lasted about 2 hours. It will take months to figure out if the two sides managed to defuse the crisis over Ukraine. Biden sought to send a clear message. Russia must not go ahead with an invasion of Ukraine, as the US fears it might, and would face massive economic sanctions if it does. Putin, meanwhile, wanted the US to know that Russia won't tolerate NATO expanding further east or deploying weapons in Ukraine. Biden didn't accede to Putin's red line demands. So, we see a good relationship developing there. Going back to the news, we can also see a headline here. Crypto is the top contender for correction, according to money managers. By many counts, 2021 was the year cryptocurrencies were finally embraced by institutions. Now those same money managers say the asset class is ripe for a big sell-off next year. Yet all of the video YouTubers, pumpers perhaps, are saying it's going to the moon over the next 3 months. Mind you, they said that back in September, predicting huge rallies for Bitcoin in November and peaking in December. Well, we're in December, it's fallen back. Digital assets are the top contender for a major correction in 2022, with nearly 3/4 of institutions polled saying they're not an appropriate investment for most retail investors. Meanwhile, 28% of all those institutions surveyed currently invest in cryptocurrencies. And of those, nearly a third said they plan to increase their allocations next year. So who can we believe? What else is in the news? Well, according to Reuters, Evergrande once again is not out of the woods. China Evergrande shares hit new lows amid debt crisis. Kaiser misses pay date. Let's not underestimate the potential effect on Evergrande on the equity markets. And we all know that if the equity markets plummet, so will crypto markets. So perhaps initially will gold and silver, but then resurrect. Hong Kong. China Evergrande Group's shares hit a record low on Wednesday after a missed debt payment deadline put the developer at risk of becoming the country's biggest defaulter, even as hopes of a managed debt restructuring calm fears of a messy collapse. So far, any Evergrande fallout has been broadly contained, and with policymakers becoming more vocal and markets more familiar with the issue, consequences of its troubles are less likely to be widely felt, market watchers have said. Well, we shall wait and see. On the business news in the UK, TUI says Omicron is hitting holiday bookings. Now, Omicron is important, not necessarily because it may send thousands of people to hospital, because the first signs are indicating that it's not quite doing that yet, though perhaps a more serious strain might achieve that. But it's now the fear factor and the reactions of governments to the risk that Omicron may do that. And we're seeing that now happening once again in the leisure industry. Winter bookings especially are slowing down as Omicron variant spreads, Holiday Giant says. Also, we mentioned the UK news, although it's to do with China, but it just goes to show that it is having ramifications here. China property developer debt default fears grow. And someone else has blasted off into space. Japanese billionaire. They're all at it. Why is everyone so desperate to escape the Earth? US, Canada. US vows robust response amid Ukraine invasion fear. Google sues alleged Russian cybercriminals. But this is the one we want to look at because we've mentioned now Russia. Let's talk a little bit more about China and the interrelationship between the US and China. US will pay the price for Olympics boycott, China says. China has condemned a planned US diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing and threatened to retaliate. On Monday, the US said it would not send diplomats to Beijing over concerns about China's human rights record. It added that US athletes could go and would have full government support. I think I'm right in saying Australia is doing the same thing or something similar. If I recall when I went through the news earlier today, we shall see. Let's have a look at what's happening to the financial world. The dollar index down a little, 0.14 at 96.22. That 96 level is important. Oil prices, little change, marginally up, but we have WTI crude trading just above $72 and Brent crude above 75.5. Equity markets rebounded yesterday quite strongly again, certainly in the US, with the Nasdaq up a full 3%, the S&P up 2%, and the Dow Jones up 1.4%. Asia markets overnight, perhaps reacting to the American markets, also up, but not quite as strongly, but ranging from really the Hang Seng, which is marginally in positive territory, to the CSI 300 index at 1.5% up. UK and European markets taking a bit of a breather because they rose yesterday, or I should say the day before, and yesterday. And today they're now trading currently at about break even, with the Euro stocks down 0.3 and the DAX down 0.3, but the FTSE up 0.3. What economic data have we had from the US and what are we going to see? Well, yesterday we had the trade deficit figures coming in at minus 67.1 billion. Actually a little worse than the median forecast, but better than the previous month's figures of minus 81. Productivity revision, slightly worse than both the previous figures and the forecast. Unit labour cost revision higher, reasonably higher in fact, than the forecast of 8.4. It's coming in at 9.6. But consumer credit monthly changes down in October to $17 billion against a forecast of $25 billion. Is this a tightening of the credit markets? We shall have to wait and see. Now today we have job openings and job quits, both for October, unless they are significantly deviant from expectations. We don't really see that having too great an impact on anything at all. Tomorrow will be a little more pertinent with the weekly jobless claims, wholesale inventories, but it'll be Friday with the CPI, core inflation figures, that will perhaps change markets this week. Gold price strengthening at last, up $8 at $1,790. Silver prices up, not so much, but up 0.05 cents, or I should say 5 cents, $0.05 at $22.48. Again, we don't really see major moves here unless something geopolitical hits. Crypto market suffering a little over these last 24 hours, although they were technically up when we reviewed them yesterday. They're down 1.6% at 2.36 trillion, with Bitcoin trading just above the $50,000 level. That's it for now. Nothing particularly exciting. It's a tumult day. A day of a little confusion, with none of us really knowing what's going to happen one way or the other, and perhaps waiting for some significant news, which, as we've already pointed out, is more likely to be geopolitical rather than necessarily financial. We'll wait and see. Thank you so much for listening. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell sign. Until tomorrow. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.